Welcome to the Redvee TV show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. And for the first time this year, Kev, we are doing a show where we've got to actually preview a game.
Yes, yes. Back into it proper. Let's do it.
It feels like it's been a long off season, even though we've never really actually stopped.
Yeah, that's very true. We've tried to keep going, tried to keep putting shows out, but it feels like forever since that terrible day at Warrington.
Yes. So then, Kev, straight into it with Knowles' big day, the title of the episode, and we are going to get onto Morgs shortly, and we'll tell you how great he is. But
Yes,
first of all, also taking place this weekend, Kev, is Chapel House's 35-year anniversary sales event. St Helens, Warrington, Wigan, Southport also, 35 years in the making. Saturday the 25th of Jan to Sunday the 2nd of Feb. If you get down to Chapel House, they will look after you in their sales event. I know if you can go to their website, you can register your interest and get yourself a great deal.
excellent. Good work from our supporters there.
We just need some nice new sales event tops to wear on these shows.
Yeah, gold, a nice gold one to do. Get
Yes.
it proper shiny, put the lights in here, proper glare everyone up.
But yeah, Chapel House renewed their support for us for the 2025 season. So get yourself down there and say Red V sent you. It won't get you any extra discounts
Yes,
because you're already getting a great deal.
very good.
Speaking of which, the fans got a great deal when they got a chance to watch Redvee TV's interview with Paul Wellens. If you haven't seen it yet, it is a great watch. Um, it's actually gone down really well, Kev, I thought, especially on the forums.
Yeah, very positive. But I think that's down to Paul being so open. Didn't shirk any questions. Um, Answered them truthfully. Um, and I think that's testament to him. I think it's part of his whole message of making sure that the town and the club are connected. So fans being able to go and ask questions. I'm not saying everybody's going to get the honour that we did the other day, but us being able to go down there and ask questions and not just stick to I don't know, run of the mill questions, like bring things up that might be a little bit uncomfortable about last year, but also look forward to next year as well.
Yeah, do you know what, Kev? Uh, there was questions on the forum, wasn't there? I think one of the questions came saying, "Was anything off limits? Were we told what we could or couldn't ask?" And the answer is no, we weren't at all.
Yeah.
Um, and how the interview came about.
Yeah, well, the interview came about. I want to put it down to the hard work that we've done over the past couple of years doing this channel. I'm being actually approached by Paul Wellens as saying that he'd like to come and speak to us and do an interview. That is part of his message that he's kind of getting across to his players, to his staff, to the club to connect with fans again. Um, you're right, nothing was off limits. I could ask him pretty much anything I wanted. There is a balance on what you can and can't ask and how you ask it. You can't go in there just like angry man at half time when saying to getting beat at home on social media. You've got to go in there respectfully and try and get answers to questions that Paul might not necessarily get asked on a daily basis or at his weekly press conference or at a media day or anything like that. So I was actually thinking about this morning because I knew we'd be filming tonight. How I think there were three different iterations of the questions that I asked him. One that I originally wrote that were quite a little bit softer. One, the next ones that got a little bit harsher, and it was almost Goldilocks and the Three Bears that I had to get them just right to then get the answers that Paul was very forthcoming and giving to us. Because if you go in there and say, "Oh, player X was absolutely rubbish last year. What do you think?" he's not going to say to you, "Yeah, he was," or he's going to back his players, or he's going to say, "Well, we've moved on from that player now." So it's about getting the balance, and I'm glad that people have kind of understood that and not been not said, "Well, I didn't really ask him anything though." But it's all testament to Paul.
Pendleton's model, Kevin. Good, bad, good.
Yes, yeah. Well, I know he's very keen to look forward to 2025, and rightly so. There seems like there's a buzz about the place, but I think there's questions that we see all the time on social media that if you can find a way of asking them, I did do, and I tried to. And I know that again, you say I don't really go on the forums too much, but there were people asking about. Oh, I'd like to have heard more about the salary cap. Paul's probably the wrong person to ask about the salary cap. You're probably looking more chief exec or chairman about that. And I don't think they're going to tell you too much. It's like going into it and saying, I'm not expecting you to lay the tactics, but they're not going to say, well, yeah, you know what? Sione was on X amount last year, but we've got like X amount minus 20 grand earmarked to go on these six players. Then we've got 20 grand to play with if we need to bump someone up or if we manage to let someone go and we can bring somebody in. They're just not going to do that with figures and numbers. I don't think they would anyway. It's a fair question to wonder about, but I don't think Wello was the right man to ask specifics about salary cap. And I doubt even if we went to the right man, we get full answers because they're just not going to let that information out into the ether.
I think it's fair to say that when we got offered the opportunity a couple of months ago, we actually thought long and hard about it, didn't we? Whether we whether we should do it or not, because we actually said between us at the time we didn't want to go in there and not ask anything challenging and just give the generic media of how's pre-season gone, Paul? Oh, everything wonderful. I don't think that would have been authentic. I think we had to go in there and ask honest questions, but as you say, in that respectful way, because at the end of the day, there's no point going in and going, why is player X the worst player in the world ever? And basically then the whole thing getting shut down and not then having opportunities to ask anything challenging. You have to get that balance. I'm really glad that we decided to take the opportunity, and I'm really glad that we got offered that chance because I think it allowed the fans to get a real insight. And do you know what? I feel positive coming out of it, listening to what the plan is moving forward and how we're trying to reconnect as a club. And listen, I backed especially Wello last season. I wanted him to be given more time. Um, I hope it goes right for him. But equally, if it doesn't, we won't be shy of actually getting to the point where if it happens and things go wrong, it's the nature of sport, and you make that call.
Yeah, you've got to have that balance of I know I know that people in the club obviously know and watch us, and we speak to them from time to time, and obviously having that interview with Wello, but we need to still be that critical element as well when it's going wrong. So, as you say, towards the end of last season, I was getting tired of us not getting the tune out of the players who were on the park and us not being able to at least string some kind of performance, even if you're getting beat. Just that performance of we're doing the best we can with what we've got, and we're hanging into games, and we just weren't doing that on occasion. We weren't creating enough, but you've still got to be able to be critical and be respectful at the same time. And listen, it's a tightrope for us to walk. It really is. And I think the fact that the interview and people have recognised that the interview did have some challenging questions is good and hopefully shows that we're not trying to be. I'm not trying to be Paul Wellens' best mate. He's a lovely bloke to speak to.
So is
But
Matt Pete.
as yeah, yeah. But as we do this, you're right. Yeah, exactly right. But as we do this, we've got to go both sides, and people won't always agree with us. People last year would have really wanted us to say Wello out. Others would be like, no, you've got to give him time. It's the same as this. People will say, why didn't you ask him X? Why didn't he answer Y? No matter what he says, there will still be people who are like, I'm still not sure. That's fair. That's fair enough. You can have your opinion like that. Absolutely fine. But I'm just, as you say, I'm glad we did it because the feedback that we've got from it, and I'd have taken critical feedback, and I still will take critical feedback when it's put to me. But the feedback that we've got from it, I think people recognise what we're trying to do and kind of how difficult that tightrope can be for us.
Yeah, and we are working on we're deciding what to do with the mic issue.
Oh, I know one interview, and I think it dropped. It only dropped out for like a second at a time. But yeah,
That might have been my
we
arm
need to.
going numb. That might have been my arm going numb, holding the camera to film it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but going forward, I almost get the impression with an element of the fan base, if Saints are successful this year, or sorry, if Saints are not successful this year, it'll be Wello out. It's his fault. If Saints do really well, it's because Lee Breers and Eamon O'Carroll came to the club. But who brought
yeah,
them in?
yeah. Well,
The head
exactly.
coach. So it's almost
Yeah,
he can't win.
yeah. Well, it can start. Obviously, style of play is something that again, I think I saw that on the forums as well. People saying about, I wonder what the style of play will be. He's not going to give us tactics and oh yeah, we're going to be all off the cuff, and then we end up going back to kind of five drives down the middle, and it makes him look an absolute mug. He's not going to do that at all. Um,
Kev, the interesting one for
but
me, the question where he was most thoughtful of was the question you asked of what is success this year?
yeah,
And listen, the easy answer and the answer everybody wants to hear is well, for Saints, it's winning trophies. But given where we were last season and the point at, listen, how successful Wigan have been and look how strong they look again, what is success this year for Saints? Yes, it's winning trophies, but if we're being realistic, you want to be in the hunt for them. You've got to be in the hunt and in and around them. The the way the league has gone with teams strengthening, you can't just judge it purely on winning the big one alone because you could win every game all year and lose the grand final.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I think winning is the main thing. I like the fact that he did think about it and he didn't just come in with an answer and just keep going with it. He had a little second to think about it. Because what would I say? I'd say a successful season for Saints this year is an improved style of rugby, a plan B, C, and D, and us being in the hunt for the pots. So that's getting going far in the Challenge Cup. That's making sure that we're well ensconced into the playoffs and that we're trying to get that home tie, but if not giving us the best possible opportunity to get to a grand final again. And I know a couple of years ago we'd have been saying it's winning the whole thing because we won it last year and we won it the year before, so we can't. There's no reason why we can't do that again. But I think with the likes of Hull KR, the likes of Warrington coming to the fore as well as obviously your tried and tested Wigan, you've got to be more realistic at the fact that Super League is a lot more of a challenge these days. You're not just turning up to teams, and I don't expect loads of teams to go to Wakefield and find it very easy. Whether they finish bottom or not is another matter, but I think they'll still make it tough for a lot of teams. Same when you go to Cass, little horrible little ground to go to on a playing sense. Lovely for food though, for a play to. But it just makes it a lot more difficult to say, yeah, we're going to go there and we're going to win by 40, 50. And there's only going to be us and Wigan or us and Hull KR up at the top. It's not working like that. Good for the game.
It is, and being able to go to nearly every game this year and knowing that the result isn't a foregone conclusion, as Wello said in the interview, it's good for Super League. As much as we all want to win
Yeah,
every week in, week out, you've got to have that element of jeopardy. Um, Listen, supporting Everton, you, you're not, well, where are we in the league? But you turn up every week thinking on our day we can get a result. On our day, most of the times we don't, but you turn up every week knowing you've got an opportunity if you go well. So that's
yeah,
sports. That's what I like about sports. I don't want to be seeing everybody get rolled over as much as some people would. Right. If you've not watched the Wello interview yet, um, get onto it. It's a good watch.
yeah.
I took 20 attempts to take that photo, and look, that was the best smile you could pull, Kev.
I'm busy at that moment, I think you'll find.
Right then, Morgan Knowles testimonial, Kevin, this weekend um, deserves all the support. And I think we had this conversation, didn't we, the other day about Morgs? 10 years has really crept up. And he's just one of
Yeah,
those. For years, we used to call him the underrated Morgan Knowles. And now he's not underrated. And he's one of the most important elements of our team. Just rock solid. He may never ever be a like go down in 20 years' time as in your best 13 in terms of because obviously you got Scully in that. But what a player he's been for us. He's been an absolute rock to all our success that we've had.
yeah. I think we miss him so much when he's not on the park. And that's all with all due respect to the likes of James Bell, who's currently the player who he kind of shares that loose forward role with. But the fact that he is such a leader, the fact that he is so defensively sound, yeah, you know what, you might say I'd like to see him add another string to his ball with regards to going forward. But we've not really needed that from him. We've needed everything else that he brings to the game. His desire, his will to chase back, and obviously it's kind of fitting that Salford are the opponents when you think about the tackle he made a couple of years ago, chase back, and
Superman.
we
Kev,
put the Superman theme over it, didn't
you're gonna have to dig out that clip, the tweet.
we? Yeah, I will do. God knows how. But yeah, it's apt because that kind of tells you everything you need to know about Morgan. The fact that it wasn't over, and again, there's one that Saints have put out from the World Club Challenge where he was saying, "Don't be that," and I'm going to paraphrase this because there were a lot of bleeps. Don't be that weak link. Keep on going, every little effort, and then it shows you the tackle that he makes on Cleary on the line, and Jack Wellsby stopped him, and he comes in over the top. Ball comes loose. Cleary doesn't score. Stuff like that is the mark of Morgan Knowles.
It's mad when I said like obviously in years to come, you probably wouldn't have him as your 13 because you've got Paul Sculthorpe. But he's probably getting to the point where he's been as successful
Mm-hmm.
and as important to everything the club's done. And is it because he's so unassuming? Like you don't know much about Morgs because he just gets on the field, does his job, and gets hated by the opposition fans for it.
I think obviously you could look at parts of his game and say just tidy it up a little bit more. But you're right. It's he's
Kev,
probably
do you know what I'm gonna dig out before Saturday? Actually, I'm not.
one.
My my rant on Redvee TV on the instant reaction after he got sent off
uh,
at Halifax in the Challenge Cup. And to be
you
fair,
know what? I'm
I actually
actually
went
just
to him, didn't I? I spoke to him. I was at the forum and I
yeah
said what was going through your head.
yeah. I'm actually just looking at the other side of the screen here is the Mike Rush "There is no need to be upset" T-shirt that our mate Smudger had made when he got off from his band from the grand final. Going back to what I was going to say, I think obviously disciplinary could be tidied up a little bit, but he's probably like a model pro in the way that he handles himself of not being the centre of attention not being someone who you hear like bad things about in camp, or he gets up to extracurricular activities somewhere in town. He just seems like one of them absolutely sound lads who has found his calling in playing rugby league and is such an important, integral part of the squad.
Yes. Anyway, Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. Chance to blow off your rugby league cobwebs for the testimonial. I'm sure Salford will bring a really strong following to show their support for Morgs testimonial. Um, for any Salford fans that do come down, I really recommend forgoing the hot pots and getting yourself a tub of chicken wings. Anyway, we're standing £13 for adults, £10 for concessions over 65, juniors up to 16 are £7. A family ticket is 35, or you can sit yourself down in the south stand, £15 adults, £12 concessions, £8 juniors, and £40 for a family ticket. And the last thing can I have a moan? Because I haven't really had a moan today yet. Why is the
If
club's
you want to, yeah.
e-ticketing web link /Saints RLFC when the club is RFC? I have checked that out, by the way.
Pass.
That link does work. Decide
Good.
what we're called and then put
Okay. Well, I would say its website is saintsrlfc.com.
yeah, yeah, I get it. And then but then the club badge
Pick
is
a,
St Helens RFC.
are you saying pick a lane?
Pick a lane, stay in it.
Can I just add something before we go? We'll move on from Morgan himself. 28 he is. How's he having a testimonial at 28? Thought these were the reserve of people into the 30s.
There's a
Oh, I feel
question. There's
old.
the question. Is he going to do a ropes and do 20 years?
Well, who knows?
Could do.
He'll probably say not a chance. He'll probably say not a chance.
Well, if he keeps having babies,
Got to keep himself in them baby grows, hasn't he? Not literally him in them.
yes. If anybody looked at the St Helens Star story this week, uh, Mrs. Knowles is due this weekend. So Morgs is not feeding her any spicy food between now and Saturday, so that he doesn't miss his own testimonial clash.
Yes. Yeah, good work.
Anyway, get along, Thunder Pram. Saints squad, Kev. Everyone.
One in, all in. Yeah. They've just named the 35 that they've given squad numbers to. Um, yeah. I'd be very surprised if we see all 35. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think, listen, anybody who's carrying some sort of like slight knock or any sort of twinge, you're not going to risk them 4 weeks before the season for a 20-minute run out. I think you'll see the majority of
No.
the squad. Whether
Yeah.
they'll go in two batches, pretty much, maybe roughly what is the starting 13, and then you'll interchange with maybe a second group of 5 or 6 who are on the periphery of the 21. And then for the last 20 minutes, you might see what Will Roberts, well, not well, downwards.
No, it will. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably your higher numbers that you see kind of into the second half as it all starts getting a bit bitty, but you're just trying to get minutes into the players. And you're right. If they're carrying any sort of knock, you don't risk. These aren't the games that I am concerned if players miss. Really not concerned if players miss this. There's no reason to either get players back in if they've had some kind of op or surgery or procedure during the off season and they just need another week or two. This doesn't matter. I'd rather see if there's going to be players missing because of that. I'd rather see them in the bigger games as we get through the season.
Yes. Well, I would safely suggest Will Roberts won't be taken to the field on Saturday, given the fact that when I went to purchase a ticket for Morgs testimonial on Saturday, I spotted Will Roberts walking round on crutches with a cast on his leg.
Yes, I think that's fair enough.
Um, I think he's one who hasn't currently got a minor knock. Um,
Yes,
whatever
he's
Will's done, I'm sure will come out in due course. But wishing him a speedy recovery. Um, but yeah, if there's one or two others with a knock, I wouldn't see them risked, and rightfully so. Now the question is, Kev, if we're going to potentially use 30 plus players, and that's the team that Salford put out, and they don't bring any reserves to really supplement that. It's not a guaranteed win on Saturday, especially if they're playing the majority of their starting 17 for the majority of the game, and we're mixing and matching.
yeah, I don't care. Genuinely don't care.
No.
Don't care about the results. Never have done in a trial game, in a testimonial game, in a friendly game, whatever you want to call them. Don't care. And if Salford are running with that team and pretty much just keeping all the big names on, great, because it gives our lads more of a hit out against, especially younger lads who've got the highest squad numbers, gives them a hit out to show that while it is a friendly game, trial game, however you want to phrase it, this is the level that you're going to get to, or that you've got to get to actually make it. Yeah, I've no problem if we get beat on Saturday. I'm not going to start crying on the internet. I'm not going to start worrying about stuff when we get to doing an instant fan reaction.
The only
I
thing
I
the only thing
just
I want to
don't
see on
care.
Saturday, Kev, is structure. To be able to see some sort of pattern of what we've been working on in training.
And I think you'll see that for a while until we start making all the changes.
Yeah.
So if the lads get 40 minutes, then you'll see it in the first half. You might swap your props, maybe a second rower or two. You'll see it there. If they get an hour and we just bring on the young lads for the last 20 minutes because our pre-season is just this, and then a community club in the Challenge Cup in a couple of weeks' time, then you need to see it obviously for longer with a couple of changes thrown in as well. But if we're going 20 minutes, half an hour, you're going to see a little bit of game, and then it's going to turn into not not a farce. That's very very harsh, but more like what it is. It's a run out to get people into contact, people blowing up to match kind of match sharpness, rather than it being this is what we're going to start running with in the season.
Yeah. I think is it 3 weeks? It is actually 3 weeks this weekend before the season starts, isn't it? There's an argument that obviously we're playing Salford first game. You don't want to show too much either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They won't want to show too much, and I know they've got the problems where are they getting taken over? Are they not getting taken over? How quickly is that going to go through? Are they still going to have to sell players and all that? But yeah, I don't think either team's going to come out and start putting set players on, are they?
No. And do you know what? Interesting to look at that squad considering half of that squad got sold on social media.
Yes, very much so.
Like we've said in one of our posts this week, rather than wanting to be first and the desperate need for likes, shares, and retweets and the kudos of being the one who made the post, concentrate on being right and let the right people announce things at the right time. Right,
Yes,
Kev? I think that's us done and dusted.
excellent.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will catch you very soon for a couple more player previews. And Kev, I'll see you Saturday for an instant reaction.
Excellent. See you
Should
there.
we record it now? Result doesn't matter. Glad to see everybody come through it unscathed, hopefully. Uh, it's not going to have any sort of bearing on what we watch in 3 weeks' time.
That's pretty much what I'll be saying.
Clip it, put it out on Saturday. Let's go home early. Catch you soon.